time. It's time to go once again. So it's been 1 year since Star Wars The Last Jedi came out, just over a year, and articles like this continue to come out. The year Star Wars fans finally ruined Star Wars. Time to dissect this piece, this wonderfully deep intellectual piece by Matt Miller on the 14th of December, 2018. And this complete winner has written a response to the people who responded to his article. So I thought this would be a fun thing to do, just for shits and giggles. Quote, some of my earliest memories about movies are of Star Wars. Taking old wrapping paper tubes and playing lightsabers with my dad. Dressing up as Luke Skywalker, desperately wanting the Millennium Falcon Lego set. Watching the original VHS boxed trilogy and having to fast forward through Leonard Martin's boring interview with George Lucas every goddamn time. Ah, yes, those were the days, weren't they, Matt? That's what Star Wars had been to me. A movie that shaped my childhood, along with my understanding of good and evil. Luke and Leia and Obi-Wan and Yoda, all of these characters aided in honing my own moral compass throughout my formative years. Of course, I grew up, but I never forgot these characters or their values. In fact, I'm only somewhat ashamed to admit that I cried in the theater when I, then a grown-ass adult, watched Han Solo die. It was like losing a member of my own family. Even then, tearing up during The Force Awakens, I had no idea that just 3 years later, even the mention of Star Wars would fill me with dread. Well, firstly, I don't think a movie like Star Wars should be honing your moral compass on what is good and evil. That should come from within you and should come from your family. Now, if I do happen to lag, I apologize, because I do lag a bit when I use the desktop, but it is what it is. So yeah, those are my thoughts, Matt. Your moral compass should have come from your family, your parents, your religion, and, just being raised properly. Very good that your father played with you, though. That's a good thing. Oh, look, it's Finn with his deep character. To continue with Matt's article. These days, Star Wars coverage is a large part of my job. Yes, why you gaslight us at every opportunity. As a culture critic, writer, and editor, hardly a week goes by where I don't touch something Star Wars related. Since Disney rebooted the franchise, it's produced some of the highest grossing movies of the last 4 years, and also some of the most expensive films, like Solo, which is why, that movie was a disaster, or part of why it was a disaster. But we carry on with this article. Not to mention the limitless news, takes, and theories about each film. Leaks are a problem. They need to plug those leaks. But within the past year, the conversation about Star Wars has gotten deeply unpleasant. Yeah, I wonder why. Let's carry on. In 2018, I've gotten literal death threats. Got one of those on my last video. Being called homophobic slurs. Got that too. Even called racist. Got that one. Racist towards Star Wars fans? Join the club, buddy. About a family movie that defined my childhood. Man, a movie defined your childhood. All right, there's some people who feel completely different to how you feel and feel that defined their moral compass and helped define them as people, but they happen to have a different opinion about the film than you. Continuing. And this isn't a problem limited to my experience. Oh no, my online harassment has paled in comparison to others, specifically the female stars of the 2 new films. Based off what evidence? Oh, that's right, there is none. And that's because over the past year, the conversation surrounding Star Wars has devolved into something ugly and unrecognizable. Whereas the vocal majority of Star Wars fans were once simply passionate people who cosplay and debate the logistics of the Castle Run. I've never debated that with anyone, because 12 parsecs is a measurement of space, not of time. But in the 70s, that wasn't really common knowledge, so I don't know anyone who would seriously debate that. But maybe people do. I don't know. Maybe you're right. They've now been overpowered on the internet, at least. Yeah, they've been overpowered. Yes, yes, yes. Well, we're going, I agree with, look how jolly Rose looks there. And she's so much better than Finn. How about we just get rid of Finn and just put Rose in his place? Yeah, I digress. Have tragically become synonymous with hate, bigotry, and pervasive assholeness. Assholeness in 2018. From various sinister online campaigns to racist and misogynistic attacks on actors to bafflingly stupid takes and interpretations of the film, The Last Jedi inspired the worst impulses of the far-right movement that is taking hold of the internet and extending its influence into the real world. Let me guess, anything on your view of what is far-right is anything, I don't know, to the right of Stalin. Oh, that's a bit too far to the left. Oh, you don't mind making that assumption about literally millions of people. This paragraph here could actually be, turned around and used to describe, Esquire.com and the Hollywood Reporter and Ryan Johnson and all these other people. Far left. A far left movement that has an international infection that has taken hold of literally every form of entertainment and is shoving their anti-Trump politics into literally everything, because we must shove it down your throat until we get our way. Even to people who don't care, don't want to know. We must make them understand. We must make them understand in the world of social justice. Here we go. Continuing on with Matt's brilliant, well thought out, well rationed article. The hate began almost immediately after The Last Jedi hit theaters, to positive reviews from critics that gave it 99 out of 100. Okay, that was the first red flag for fans. Days after the movie was released, Rotten Tomatoes was swarmed with negative reviews, marking the biggest disparity between fans and critics in the history of the franchise. And there's nothing to that, right? It's all people on the far right. It's a far right movement that is so influential in the real world, where you don't actually see anyone in the real world like that. But never mind that. It's a narrative. The narrative must continue. As of this week, the film has As of this week, the film has 91% from critics and 45% from fans. Wow, it's gone up 1% from fans. That's pretty impressive. You must be happy about that one, Ryan, because it was 44% last time I saw it. And while I agree that that's not a good way to measure how popular a movie is, the Rotten Tomatoes scores, it's just something else that's there, a disparity. There's the disparity between the views of people in Hollywood and then people who, exist in the real world and work Monday to Friday, or fucking work night shifts and all that kind of stuff. The real world. While many of the fans have legitimate concerns with the actual filmmaking, many of these audience reviews are coming from a different place. Like this comparatively tame one I pulled at random from the first page of Rotten Tomatoes. I'm still lamenting over how terrible this movie was. I have to pretend I never saw it just to get me through the day. We're not buying your political agenda. I didn't see Solo as a way of giving the finger to Ryan Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy, and many others did the same. Having to pretend you never saw it just to get through the day is dramatic and pathetic, but it's no more dramatic and pathetic than to say that the two actresses from the latest two Star Wars films are getting harassed by far-right trolls, and that is representative of the people who don't like Star Wars The Last Jedi, which is the bow you're attempting to draw here. Which you are not the only one, Matt. People like you have been doing this literally for a year now. But it's cool. It's very amusing. This became the narrative surrounding Star Wars and the rejection of The Last Jedi throughout 2018. Emboldened members of the far right use Star Wars as another easy target for online hatred, and far left-leaning political radicals use Star Wars as an excuse to target people like Jordan Peterson. to target people like Ethan Van Sciver, to target people with a different political opinion to them. So, like I said, you shove politics down people's throat with that Canto Bite rubbish. Expect people on the far right and on the right to react to that. You can't gaslight people and then be surprised when they react. And a lot of people took that political narrative away from Star Wars The Last Jedi because the film was so badly written. Okay? It's fucking awful. But I continue with Matt's brilliant article. What's confusing is how badly these alleged Star Wars fans misunderstand Star Wars. Well, enlighten us, my friend from Esquire. You're just such an enlightened man, and I can tell this is going to be fascinating. From the very beginning, it was a progressive franchise. Yeah. Okay. Even considering some of the embarrassing Hollywood norms of the 70s, George Lucas gave Princess Leia a blaster and had her take charge of her own rescue, while many women on screen at the time remained the damsel in distress. The rebels fought against a totalitarian empire, not so subtly resembled Nazi Germany. Nazi Germany, fascist, evil, orange man. Bad. It's a film that made women like Mon Mothma revolutionary leaders. This film was, at least for genre films of its time, widely progressive in terms of representation and ideas. It said it was about, I don't know, 15 years after Star Trek already did it. Just saying, it's not exactly this massive leader. But people, people were okay with that. So why did they like that stuff? Content of the characters and the political tones that are shoved down our throats that take precedent over the film's fucking plot and what the film's trying to do? No, not at all. Not at all. It wouldn't be anything to do with Kathleen Kennedy's remarks, right? Or Rian Johnson's remarks. You see, you come out and say this shit and then are surprised at a reaction. It's very, very... It's amazing. Lack of self-awareness. Yet somehow in 2018, simply including women and actors of color in Star Wars universe is pushing a political agenda. No, the political agenda is in the fucking content of the film. It's got nothing to do with the actors. You could make everyone in that film white. It'd still be the same damn thing. Okay? Genius. That is not a political statement. It's the franchise attempting to lead the way into a modern era of movies. Why does it need to lead the way? Who has been held back? Tell us, show us, and we will support you in getting rid of them. Look at this fuckboy right here. That's where the women belong, and this is where the men belong. If anyone really believes this dude's fucking views are genuine, please. Guy's a fucking idiot. This type of hatred began to ramp up in 2015 when trolls forced Daisy Ridley, who plays Rey, the central hero of the new trilogy, off social media. Before The Force Awakens was even released, racists threatened to boycott the film because it supported white genocide by featuring actors of color. Okay, so here's what happens when you go on the internet and you release videos. You get things called trolls, and you go on trolls' accounts to their channels and they have no content because they're trolls, and what they do is they leave inflammatory comments seeking a reaction. What you have done is empower those trolls, and what you have also done is take those trolls and take legitimate complaints by real fans like Doomcock, like Midnight's Edge, like Mecha Random Girl, like Mindless Entertainment, like Geeks and Gamers. I could go on all day. And you have grouped them all together. You are calling all those people, myself, you are associating us with mindless, faceless troll accounts that are to be ignored, that have been on the internet since day one. And in 2015, you suddenly see this. I remember seeing some of this trolling. It was mostly focused at Finn. because he was black, because he had a lightsaber, and everyone thought, oh, he's going to be the next Jedi. I never really had a problem with that. But I digress. We have a narrative to follow, and we must stick to the narrative no matter what. A loud fringe movement. Yes, one that you empowered. This became a loud fringe movement that we empowered. He didn't write that. I made that quote up, but he should know that he empowered it. That by midway through 2018 has also driven star Kelly Marie Tran off social media completely. The actress who played the resistant mechanic Rose Tico in The Last Jedi was the target of a disgusting online harassment campaign. An Asian American actress, Tran was attacked for months by racist and misogynistic trolls. In August, Tran spoke for the first time since leaving social media in a powerful essay in the New York Times, she wrote. I will respond after this. I had been brainwashed into believing that my existence was limited to the boundaries of another person's approval. I had been tricked into thinking that my body was not my own, that I was beautiful only if someone else believed it, regardless of my own opinion. I had been told and retold this by everyone, by Hollywood, by companies that profited from my insecurities, manipulating me so that I would buy their clothes, their makeup, their shoes in order to fill a void that was perpetuated. She's talking about Hollywood. Fake news. That is fake as fuck. That is, if he is either ignorant to the point where it is breathtaking and he never bothered to actually read and take in what she's saying, if he cares so much about what she feels, what she experiences, or he's disingenuously misrepresenting this and using it to further his own agenda and narrative, which we all know the latter is the most likely. So she's talking about Hollywood right there, and you're blaming Star Wars fans and misogynistic trolls. Yeah, okay. Facts don't care about your feelings. The backlash eventually became organized enough to warrant responses from Daisy and The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson himself. Fucking roundhead Rian Johnson. Subverting every expectation is not a good way to write a film. Neither is doing one draft. Neither is writing it for you and not the audience when you have fucking limitless money to make. But, you know, who cares about that when you've got a political agenda to push that's, you know, so fucking obvious that we'll sacrifice our film's plot to put that in there. But Rian Johnson, you know, a true Einstein of his time. In fact, this poor guy has spent most of the year explaining his films to idiots online. That's your opinion. That is your opinion. And he's done a poor job of explaining it. His film couldn't explain it, and he couldn't explain it. Not to mention Rian Johnson himself loves to troll, loves to be racist. But that's okay, because he's of the woke Hollywood crowd. Meanwhile, these trolls launched an entire campaign to finance their own fan-made Star Wars film. Shoutouts to Geeks and Gamers. Geeks and Gamers, a member of their team, remade that film for Rian Johnson. And no, I have not seen it. I am not interested in seeing it. The Star Wars The Last Jedi is an abortion. It is a failed abortion, and I will never watch it again because I value my time too much. While this is a laughable idea for delusional racists, are you talking about them or yourself? Because you could be talking about you and your own friends there. The message was clear, as the campaign's manifesto read. The fans are completely divided, and the core goal of Star Wars has been abandoned. The goal is to not make one half of the fandom happy over the other. It is to make a film that the fandom in general as a whole enjoys. That is a true statement. How is that a delusional statement? So it's good that you piss off half the fandom? It's good to divide people? This is good? This is fun? No, this is retarded. Other fans penned entire declarations decrying The Last Jedi as too political and using new characters as tools to push an agenda of masculine inferiority. Well, what you did to Finn could be interpreted as that, I will admit. But what I interpreted as Finn is a fucking bumbling moron, janitor, and he somehow, through luck, ran into Poe. He's not a stormtrooper anymore. There's nothing about Finn's character that suggests he's a stormtrooper. I'm not even going to bother. This guy here is upset, and today, we, the fans of Star Wars, declare our rebellion from Lucasfilm. We are tired of being spat on, told that the franchise we so adore is not for us anymore, and our favorite characters are being mistreated by the directors of the new movies. That's 100% true. What you did to Luke Skywalker is a fucking disgrace. And if you're going to do it to him, like, explain it properly, not with 3 weak flashbacks that make Luke look like a villain. He looks like a villain. He tried to murder his nephew. We call upon Disney for change. And by the way, we waited from 2012 to 2017. And some people whose Luke Skywalker was their favorite character are a little upset by that. Look, bronies don't like it. Bronies don't like it. Gay people don't like it. People of color don't like it. Okay? It's not all white people. Like you try to fucking with your narrative. It's fucking insanity. And let me just take a moment right here to remind you that this is a family movie, largely designed to sell toys to children. Then why are you pushing anti-capitalist messages in your films over the whole story? Okay? Instead of Poe and Rose, sorry, Finn and Rose, I get confused with these simple fucking names. Finn and Rose could have, like, I don't know, freed a whole lot of slaves. Maybe. I don't know. There could have been a lot done there, or you could have just not done that entire fucking sequence and spent that time on Luke and Rey or Kylo. Some interesting shit. But instead you decided to say we hate capitalism while benefiting from capitalism. Usual hypocritical Hollywood NPC garbage. In fact, some industry analysts have suggested that the lower than expected box office numbers of Solo could be the result of The Last Jedi backlash. That Solo just wasn't very good also probably had something to do with it. Neither was The Last Jedi. You can see it with Solo, but not that piece of shit film. Yes, that is a result, 100%. And after Solo, Disney completely refocused its future plans. So in other words, the boycott had an effect. The loud fringe group on the far right had an effect, just like they did with Star Trek. While it would be a stretch to imagine that Trolls directly affected the direction of the multi-billion-dollar franchise, they did, because that multi-billion-dollar franchise likes money. They like to make money. They don't like spending lots of money and making fuck all in return. There's no denying that the executives at Disney have taken note of this narrative. Yes, but they're not. They've still got their own narrative to push that. Good little boys like you, Matt, that are pushing it on their behalf on a daily fucking basis. It's fascinating that as Disney has begun to course correct Star Wars, it seems that J.J. Abrams is charged by the powers that be with getting both fans and critics excited about Episode 9, which he's going to fail at. He's going to fail at because of people like you, Matt. You're not helping. And what's concerning about this is who the people pulling the strings might be listening to. Oh, no, they might listen to other people with a different opinion to you. Oh, no, what a travesty. Fascism, Nazism. Send in the Air Force. Give us a new fly zone over Star Wars. The fuck out of here, Hillary Clinton. Even if Lucasfilm and Disney are rightly ignoring its loudest and most bigoted critics, actually, I think that would include people like you, Matt. You're a disgusting, bigoted fool. It is possible that they might be encouraged after The Last Jedi to play it safe with Episode 9. It's certainly a possibility. You mean like writing a film for the fans? You mean like that? That would be playing it safe and making money and, keeping people happy and not shoving your political agenda into every possible aspect of everyone's life until Donald Trump is finally out of office. Or the next Republican takes office in the States, and then we must listen to you. It's urgent. We must listen. It's certainly a possibility, especially considering Abrams' very safe Force Awakens, which I should note, fans also hated for being too safe. Actually, fans overwhelmingly enjoyed that film, and it had an overwhelming positive reaction. Even I saw it at the films twice, and I didn't particularly think it was very good. Perhaps I'm just entirely too logged on. I most definitely am. Oh, self-deprecation, Matt. You're a good man. you're a good man. But the conversation surrounding Star Wars has become something dark and horrible, something I dread reading about. I dread reading this shit, but at the same time, it's hilarious. As a kid, something like Star Wars seemed so simple. It was obvious who was good and who was evil. The movies themselves, even today, make that clear. Hate, fear, and tyranny is bad. Inclusion, hope, and democracy is good, and it's possible. There were people out there in the 70s and 80s, and even in the early internet days of the prequels, outraged by this franchise message of good. But back then, these people didn't have a public platform like social media to share their evil opinions directly with the filmmakers. Evil opinions. Evil opinions. What you did to Luke Skywalker was fucking wrong. That's not an evil opinion. Rey is an unrelatable Mary Sue who literally has no character. In fact, her fuck-ups lead to the success in The Force Awakens. If she didn't run off randomly and get captured by Kylo Ren, that arguably led to them destroying the super weapon. Mary Sue? Who can relate to that? Do you know a single person who's that flawless? No, because that doesn't exist in the real world. No, Jesus Christ, this is a long article. No, this new trilogy is the first Star Wars films to exist in a landscape where politics and culture have become synonymous, conversations largely done via social media because of people like you shoving it down our throat and inserting it and people like Ryan Johnson inserting it in, and Kathleen Kennedy inserting it into entertainment, even unrelated entertainment. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Donald Trump was elected president of the United States of America. It's just Nazi fascism. Like, fuck off. Get a life. This is a country, oh God, here we go. This is a country run by a TV personality like Obama, like George W. Bush, like Bill. That wake up, mate. They've all been TV personalities. They're all puppets whose most pervasive form of communication with the American population is through Twitter. In fact, Russian bots actually did. Wow, Russian bots. See, that is a lie. That is a lie. Because he is presenting that as that's why it got, a bad rep on social media. Much like the Democrats with their little election that they lost. But for some reason, the recent election that the Democrats in America won, that's not because of Russia, because reasons. Even though you keep winning seats literally weeks after the election. But that's more political and, it's just pathetic. Well, at least he admits that the impact on the conversation was negligible. Saved your little ass there, didn't you? And it's a time where every conversation inevitably becomes something needlessly miserable. Well, why be miserable then? Why go look for these trolls? Why not block the people that send you death threats? You don't have to, but you can. Everyone has a take. Everyone has an opinion, no matter how bad. Yes, that's true. That applies to you, Matt. And like everything else we once loved, it has been ruined by bad people on the internet. Yeah, bad people like you. Yeah, I agree. You said something I agree with. I would say this is giving too much credit to what could be called a small minority of internet trolls. Shut the fuck up. You're a small minority of internet elitists writing pathetic, politically motivated, ignorant hit pieces on entertainment sites like this. Okay? But that's just not the way things work post 2016. Everything comes back to that fucking garbage election. Like I said, these trolls are the anonymous, despicable, beating heart of America. They're, oh man, contempt for your own country. Yeah. Hate yourself a bit more. They're holding up a mirror to our society. They are ensuring that the worst of us have a voice to incite real change. Yeah, people like you and Kathleen Kennedy and everyone else who wrote trash articles like this one. That's right. They are elected an immoral, racist golden toilet for a president. And that Same sickness has bled into something once as harmless as a children's space movie. Oh my God. Donald Trump has nothing to do with this, okay? It's fucking a red herring. That's just you being triggered about politics. It has nothing to do with how shit that film was. Except when you take the political messaging of that film, then you get the right wing people responding. I know it's really shocking, but people are allowed to be right wing, and they're also allowed to be left wing, and they're even allowed to be radical right wing people and radical leftists like you. And you write articles like this one, and then we get to deconstruct it and make fun of you. But yeah, that's well, as they say, as they say in Spaceballs, welcome to real life. If the moral Star Wars fans, the ones who applaud these films for being representing the people, ideas, and the goodness around us, not really. I just want to see a good story, like what people look like, what gender they are, what sexual preference is not a priority for me when I go to watch something. You know, I'm not that shallow. Stay silent. You're anything but silent, and a lot of us have not stayed silent. We've just been balled into the troll fucking category by people like you, Mark. Well, then the trolls control the narrative. Well, you're a troll and you're trying to control the narrative, and you've had control of the narrative because you literally have all the communication. But we, for now, have the freedom to respond to you. This was the year where the trolls won. I agree. The Democrats retook Congress, and the Remainers stopped Brexit. So, yeah, the trolls did win in those two departments. That doesn't mean there's not hope. Yeah, maybe Brexit will happen. Maybe the American government will actually help their own people. Who knows? Just more virtue signaling, probably. The Last Jedi came out a year ago this week, and there's a year until episode 9 for the true fans to take control of this narrative. Yeah, we're taking it from you one day at a time. To formulate eloquent and loud and respectable opinions about what Star Wars has and should always mean. That's our only hope. Well, that was a garbage article. And respectable opinions about what Star Wars has and should always mean. That's our only hope. Well, that was a garbage article. Oh, I've got some chats here. I better read them out. Shit. No. What happened? My bad. My bad. I saw Seth Rollins in there, and Seth Rollins, if you're still watching, I'll get to your chats, mate. Hold on a minute. Prodigal Champ, you're banned on Facebook. I'm sorry about that. Women belong in the kitchen. Of course they do, Seth Rollins. Yes, charisma. We the people. Luke sucks. Fair enough. If you know what, if you don't like Luke Skywalker, fair enough. You liked Han Solo, though, right? Come on. Solo sucked. SJW's killed Star Wars. Looks like Star Wars is dead. Well, my only opinion on that one, Prodigal Champ, is that at least Star Wars has one owner, right? Unlike Star Trek, right? That's owned by 3 Bad Robot, Paramount Pictures, and CBS. They own Star Trek. So at least Star Wars one day could move on from this garbage and get better. But will it? I doubt it. I doubt it. Anyway, thank you for coming and commenting. Have a good time, and I look forward to deconstructing more of this fun stuff.